This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
But yeah, he's just a completely different dude than what you had. Like I said last week, he is wired. He is wired much better to communicate. I know I hate repeating content, but like I said last week, he is wired much better to communicate with millennials and Generation Zs than most coaches that are older coaches or are ogre coaches like the guy we had. Because the guy we had wasn't old, but he was an ogre. He was like, junior Bill Belichick without any rings, just like McDaniel is, and just like Matt Patricia is, and all that. You know what I mean? So I talked about this last week. McDaniel has a way, when we explained last week, we was the Kaufman guy that tweeted out, what was it? Jeff Ireland asks a player if his mom's a prostitute. Brian Flores gets into it with Tua, like he doesn't like him, doesn't support him, all that stuff. And Mike McDaniel's at the combine, and he's interrogating a kid about his 90s hip hop knowledge because he's intrigued that a young guy knows that much about 90s hip hop. And you say, you say the word interrogate, right? But it's kind of a sarcastic way of saying, here's McDaniel, that all of a sudden he's not talking football with the kid, he's talking 90s rap. But really, what is he doing? He's communicating and connecting with the young man. And so that's kind of the difference between people that are set in their ways and they don't change, and they're not willing to change, and they're not willing to accept the way things are going to be or the way things are changing, because it is. Our way of growing up is not the way these kids grow up. I cannot, even though I'm tough with my daughter, I can never be my dad or my mom with my daughter. Just like those of you that have, the classic upbringing, you could never do the same thing with your kids. And older coaches don't understand that. And that's where a guy like McDaniel might have a better grip on how to deal with these young people in a different way, in a different plateau, and connect with them. So, yes, I spoke about that last week. I guess you must be listening or reading something yesterday or today that ignited you again to do all of this, because that's kind of the feel I get when I get those kind of questions that you're reading or seeing as somewhere else, so you bring it here to the show. But yeah, no, we talked about that all last week with McDaniel, and so yeah, it's cool. It's not I like what I see from McDaniel. I've liked it from the moment I saw him. Now, in the end, he's got to win, dude. He's got to win. If he doesn't win, he's got no shot at surviving. That's all it is. We've all we've been through so much as a Dolphin fan base, that patience is no longer a virtue. Patience is no longer a word we want to hear. We want or an action we want to deal with. It's it's about the now. It's about results. And we don't want to hear that you're a tough-minded guy, or that you're a soft-minded guy, or that you're a communicative guy, or that you're a disciplinarian, or that you're a cerebral approach, or that you're a comic approach, or that you're the raw guy. We don't give a shit anymore what kind of coach you are. Really, in the end, that's what it's all about. There's no more discipline than in Pat Riley. Whereas as an older player, they want you to lose weight every year, you know? So So it's funny that it's Riley has had this whole thing kind of set up, and he's been able to keep it going because there's a history and a reputation that goes with it, like Belichick. It's already established for 20 years. So if you want to join, you already know how this is all played out ahead of time. Everybody knows around the league. Oh, no, no, dude, if you're going to Miami, you got to work. No, no, they're not going to take your crap. If you go to the Yankees, no, 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 you will not have hair on your face. You will not have beards, and no, you will have short hair. You will, there are things that are established, and you can still get away with them, right? But it's more about being nowadays being a Sean McVay, right? It's more about finding a Cliff Kingsbury. It's more, look at Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's a fun, while he's an old coach and he has his level of discipline, but he's still kind of a fun guy. It's kind of, that's what they're trying to find. They're trying to find young Pete Carroll types. Pete Carroll's kind of ahead of his day in the way he coaches. That's kind of the guy they want in today's world. A little bit of that. The Mike Zimmer guy, it's not the guy they want anymore. Andy Reid, kind of a happy-go-lucky guy in a way. Sure, he's disciplined and set in his ways, but he's an easygoing guy. Andy Reid is not necessarily one of those guys, so it kind of fits more of what you're doing. Matt LaFleur, Shanahan. They're trying to find these young guys that are trying to reach you here. It can't be all about gassers, and it can't be all about screaming at the top of your lungs, and it can't be all about, calling you every name in the book, right? Because most of us older people, we can kind of handle it, and we yeah, whatever, and you forget about it, and you move on. Hell, I call myself names all the time. So, but younger people, it's a different world, man. It's a different world. And you've got to find the people that know how to connect with them. That's why teachers are magical human beings. They really are. Because they handle, 200 kids a day. Times change, generations change, and they get to see the generational change year after year. So then they have to then adjust along the way. Because I'm sure a teacher has to change some of their ways as time goes on. Maybe not right away, but it's something they go adjusting every 5 or 10 or 15 years because the kids change. I'm sure a teacher that's been teaching for 30 years will tell you the kid I taught 25 years ago is completely different than the kid I'm teaching now. And so the way I approached the kid 25 years ago is different than I got to approach him now. By the way, the rules also force you to approach people differently. Your workplace, your bosses have to approach you differently. So that's kind of what it is. Yeah, that world has changed. And you've got to change as an organization, and you've got to find the people that kind of fit. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Mike McDaniel. But in the end, got to win, man. It's still about the W. If you don't get the W, you got no shot, baby. You're not going to get anywhere. That's for damn sure. By the way,